Hello, dear students. Greetings of the day. I, Mohammad Zishan, welcome you to the online classes of Blooming Birds Code School Symbol. Dear students, today we are going to study the fifth chapter of history, which is the Sangam Age. In last chapter, we studied about the Mauryan Empire, which dealt with 3rd century BC. Now we are going to talk about the 1st century BC to 2nd century AD. But this time we will not talk about the northern India or northwestern India or central India, but this time we are going to study about the South India. So, dear students, when we study about South India from 1st century BC to 2nd century AD, so we get few literary sources of the history. The sources which were written in 1st century to 2nd century AD, 1st century BC to 1st century BC to 2nd century AD. These sources tells us about the history of three kingdoms of South India, which were Pandyas, Cheras, and Cholas. Cheras were ruling on the western coast of India in today's Kerala, and Pandyas were ruling in today's Chennai or Tamil Nadu, you can say, right? And the Pandyas were ruling in today's Andhra Pradesh on the eastern coast of India. So as I have drawn map here, you can see this was the territory of Chera, and this was the territory of Pandyas, and this was the territory of Cholas. So we come to know about these kingdoms and about the political information as well as information about the people of these kingdoms, means information about the society, about economy, about religion. Okay, so about various aspects we get information from these sources only, right? So now the question arises, if we are going to study about the history of all these three kingdoms, then why the name of the chapter or title of the chapter is Sangam Age? What does that mean? So, dear students, the sources by which we come to know about these states or kingdoms, those sources, literary sources, were written by various bards and poets in a literary confluence which was held from 1st century BC to 2nd century AD, and that confluence means Sangam, right? Sangam. So Sangam is a Tamil word for confluence or for gathering also, you can say. Clear? And on the other hand, the Sangam word has been derived from the Sanskrit word which is called Sang. Now what does that mean? Sang means association. So whenever you are asked to write the literal or literary meaning of this word Sangam, you have to write two things. First, you have to write about Sangam, which has been derived from the Sanskrit word Sang, which means association, and then you have to write the meaning of this, okay, which means confluence or gathering. Sangam means confluence, like Sangam of two rivers, right? Confluence of two rivers. Confluence means a meeting point, okay? So Then they may ask, what is the meaning of Sangam Age? What is the meaning of Sangam Age? So you will write that Sangam Age deals with, or Sangam Age refers to the period from 1st century AD to 2nd century, sorry, 1st century BC to 2nd century AD, means 100 years before the birth of Jesus Christ to after 200 years, 200 years after his birth, the period of these 300 years. Okay, so it refers to this period in which three sangams or literary festivals or literary gatherings of various poets, bards, and sages took place in Pandyan kingdom, where they wrote an ample amount of literature about the society, about economy, about polity of South India. So the period in which this literature was written is called actually Sangam Age. So we are not addressing this period on the name of the rulers or the kingdoms of South India, but we are addressing this period uh, addressing this period by a sangam or confluence or a literary gathering which took place, in which thousands of poets, bards, and sages participated and wrote a very rich amount of literature, Tamil literature, right? So that we are going to study. Now, after that, let me tell you that the first Sangam took place in 1st century BC, and it is said that that was participated by various sages, and according to Tamil mythology, or you can say Tamil people, it is said that even the gods participated in that, and a very rich amount of Tamil literature was written. But unfortunately, nothing has survived from that confluence or that Sangam. Everything has lost. Then second Sangam took place, and during second Sangam also a very rich amount of Sangam literature was written, but only Tolkapiyam has survived. Now, what is Tolkapiyam? Tolkapiyam is a Tamil grammar book written by Tolkapiyar. Written by Tolkapiyar. So only that book has survived, and rest other sources or other literature has vanished, has not survived. Then during third Sangam also, which was the last Sangam, in that Sangam various poets, bards participated, and in that also very rich literature, detailed account of Tamil society, economy, polity, religion was written, and most of the literature has vanished, or is not able to survive. Okay, but still we are having sufficient amount of portion which is left from there. Okay, so the knowledge which we get about the South India, we get from the fractions which are left over, okay, by the third Sangam age, third Sangam which took place, right, uh, there in Pandyan's kingdom. So the literature which was written during the third Sangam, right? So fractions of that literature has survived, and that fraction has become the basis of our knowledge about South India. So now the first thing, the first source which we are going to study is Tirukkural. Tirukkural is one of the minor work of Tiruvalluvar, right? Tiruvalluvar wrote 18 minor works, and those 18 minor works are called Patinen Kilka Nakku, right? So out of those 18 minor works or Patinen Kilka Nakku, one was Tirukkurul or Kurul, right? Tirukkurul or Kurul. So what is this Tirukkurul or Kurul? And what do we come to know from this source of Sangam age? So actually it is a compound or mixture of Arthashastra, Kamshastra, Kam Sutra and Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastra, Arthashastra and Kam Sutra. It is having 133 chapters which are divided into three sections or parts, you can say, right? The first part is Aram, which deals with the righteousness of the people, about the virtues. In this principles, virtues of people are written. And second is Porul deals with the wealth, with economy. And third is Inbam or Kamam. Inbam or Kamam deals with the pleasure, with the matrimonial life of people. So this Inbam and Kamam, as well as this first one Aram, these two deals with the individual life, and this Porul deals with the public life, wealth. It is about the private life of people, matrimonial life, and it is about the righteousness, about the morality, virtues of people, right, of an individual. So from there also we come to know, we get a lot of information about the South Indian society at that time, right? So this was the source which we have studied. Now, my dear students, let me inform you that because of coronavirus pandemic, most of the syllabus of this chapter has been removed. Only the thing which I have told you is there in syllabus, and rest other has been deleted for this academic year 2020 and 2021. So what we have to study? We have to study only these things, right? So let me explain you the things which I have written on the board. Sangam. Sangam is, this is the chapter 5, is Sangam Age, which deals with the time period from 100 BC to 200 AD. 100 BC to 200 AD is a time period of 300 years. Now, what is the meaning of word Sangam? So, Sangam word has been derived from Sanskrit word Sang, which means association, right? And another meaning of Sangam is confluence, or gathering or a meeting point, okay? Now, if it is asked, what do you mean by Sangam age, okay? In exam, then you have to write that the Sangam age refers to the period when bulk of Tamil literature was composed by a body of Tamil scholars and poets in three successive literary gatherings. In how many literary gatherings? Three successive, means which takes place one after other. Three successive literary gatherings called Sangam, right? So these three literary gatherings, okay, these three successive literary gatherings are actually called what? Sangam. So this gathering is called Sangam, okay. Hence Sangam, meaning confluence or a meeting point, refers to the gathering of poets and bards. So this was the meaning of the Sangam age, right? then you should remember about the time period, okay, when it took place. So it took place from first century. Here I have written century first, and here I have written second, here I have written century, but here I have written 100, okay. So you know well that in one century there are 100 years. So either we can write this way, first century, or we can write 100 BC. So first century BC to second century AD it took place, and where it took place, at which place? So it took place in the kingdom of Pandyas. Where? In the kingdom of Pandyas. Now we know that the Sangam literature